everybody, I'm Doug Bentel. Welcome to the Second Half Lounge. So after Dr. Paul's interview, we decided we ought to probably go ahead and do some of the stuff that he talked about. So today, November 9th, is all about learning, and we're going to start off with a little November 9th trivia. In 1620, Pilgrims sighted land at Cape Cod. In 1887, the U.S. took possession of Pearl Harbor. In 1921, Albert Einstein received the Nobel Prize for Physics for his discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect. In 1965, a 13-hour blackout hit New York and into Canada, affecting 30 million people. In 1967, the first ever edition of Rolling Stone magazine was published, and in 1970, French President Charles de Gaulle passed away. Speaking of the French, what's with them rioting about having to work a couple extra years? Well, here's a little brain stimulation exercise for you. Go out and Google French income tax rates, and I think you'll see what some of the outrage is all about. I mean, but still. On November 9th, 1989, France's neighbor and longtime rival, Germany, opened the border between East and West for the first time since 1949. Speaking of the Germans, here's some non-November 9th, albeit interesting, Social Security-related information. In 1889, German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck is widely credited as having set the modern retirement age at 65. In reality, he set it at 70, and it was lowered to 65 in 1916, 24 years after Bismarck's death. The U.S. retirement age, while also set at 65, was not just us copycatting the Germans. In 1935, after having studied dozens of public and private pensions, then current life expectancies, and reasonable taxation rates, the Committee on Economic Security then set the U.S. retirement age at 65 as well. Social Security starts out strong, but then in 1946, the baby boom hit, which was great, and it certainly creates some opportunities now 65 years later. In 1950, men and women spent 12 and 13.6 years in retirement, respectively. But then, another important trend began. We started retiring earlier. This trend continued into the 1970s. The 80s were flat, and then the 90s saw a reinvigorated retire early bandwagon. By 2000, men and women were in retirement for 18 years and 21.7 years, respectively, a 50% increase. Meanwhile, since 1935, the number of beneficiaries has increased 21,900%, while the number of workers supporting them has risen only 357%. And those numbers are before baby boomers started retiring. A related metric is the ratio of workers to retirees. Initially 161 to 1, it's now 3.3 to 1 and projected to hit 2 to 1 over the next 20 years. Hey, thanks for watching today. I'm having some fruit, sweeping away those free radicals Dr. Paul talked about, and I'm doing it with my left hand to try and help make my brain a little bit ambidextrous. So come back on Thursday. It's Veterans Day, and we've got somebody that I think you're really going to like. He's inspiring. I think you're going to be really, really proud of him and America, and I think it'll make Veterans Day a lot more meaningful for you. See ya.